But Zuck is definitely showing that like when push comes to shove, like he can be a ruthlessly efficient operator.
I think he's also doing the inverse Elon Musk, which is if you don't have anything to say, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Don't say anything. And then Elon's out there just be like, look at me. So I think that's also helping him. The big bad guy of tech is like rotated.
The inverse Musk.
So next week we're going to Vegas, baby.
Well, I mean, you can tell I'm excited. There's no beanie this week. I'm going beanieless. Like the sun is out. I'm ready to party.
Let's go. So for anyone listening who's wondering what the heck we're talking about, we'll be in Vegas next week. We will be at DICE. Warren will be hosting a panel with a bunch of ballers at MGS. And we'll also be doing partner dinner, which is full. But if you want to hit us up about the partner dinner, see if we can get you in anyway, feel free to do that. That's my shilling. See you all in Vegas.
Awesome. What's on deck for the show this week, Xander? We got a lot to cover.
Interesting, big topics in the games-related tech industry. We'll be going over Meta earnings. We'll be going over Xbox, what's going on at Microsoft, our new favorite topic, and as well as several large announcements at Disney. So without further ado, let's jump right in. This is going to be a eat your vegetable section. There's a lot of numbers here, so we'll try and get through this in an intelligent and efficient manner. Meta earnings were crazy. They grew substantially in 2023, the year that Mark Zuckerberg termed the year of efficiency, and boy, did they deliver. Was almost at 4 billion users across the family of apps, which is crazy. And DAU was 3.2 billion, which is, again, insane. Revenue in Q4 was up 25% to $40 billion, no big deal. And the annual revenue was $135 billion. Operating margin has increased 150% in Q4 from 6 billion to 16 billion. And EPS went up 200. Earnings per share up 200%. So, I mean, talk about efficiency. That's about as efficient as you can get. One of the big questions we had going into this, Warren, is like, so what caused the beat? And here's what caused the beat. Impressions. You want to guess how much impressions were up? Any ballpark idea from all the ads you spend?
I mean, honestly, without knowing this, I would have actually predicted that they were down.
Really?
So, yeah. Before earnings, yeah.
I spent too much time on Reels. Let me tell you.
I mean, we're buying a lot of impressions, but I didn't think anyone else was.
Yeah. 21% up year over year with cost per impression up 2%. So not only are they delivering on how much they're delivering, but also prices going up. They decreased headcount by 22% to 67,000 people. And they implemented a share repurchase program and instituted a dividend for the first time where they're paying out 50 cents per share. Oh, man. There's a lot there. What a monster year. Basically, every metric across the board, they've over-delivered on. Not only do they circumvent ATT, but they're really put themselves in a position to dominate the next, call it, 5-10 years of technology and games growth and everything that we really care about. One of the interesting metrics that they had is like, obviously, they're investing in the metaverse. We didn't hear much about the metaverse. They're investing in AI. They're way ahead in AI. One of the things that Mark Zuckerberg was bragging about is that they have 600,000 H100 GPU equivalents, which are basically the most high-end graphics cards that are used for AI training. And they're, ready to rock and roll for the next decade. What do you think, Warren?
Yeah, I mean, it was like the single biggest one-day increase in market value in history.
Did they? I totally missed that.
Yeah, the day after earnings, basically, as far as like an overall amount of value increase, which is just wild. I'm still trying to unpack the how here. I mean, one thing that I can say more anecdotally, we're bummed anytime any of our colleagues that work in this ecosystem like lose their jobs. But historically, I think Facebook had a lot of bloat in middle management. And I think for better, for worse, like in this belt-tightening phase, for the first time, they were forced to look at where they had that bloat. Some of that, I think, efficiency is part of this story. But what I can't really unpack is like, okay, I understand the numbers and like, where did the wins come from? Maybe I'm too much in a bubble in the games, leaning heavily in mobile free to play and like seeing how that sector has suffered. That sector is buying less aggressively on Meta specifically. So is it that it's ad revenue just going into more distributed segment, whereas like maybe historically the bubble we're in drove a bigger percentage of that. I think as other industries mature, get more focused on buying to performance, less doing like TV ads and billboards, etc. Is that what we think is driving this? Where is this new revenue coming from?
A couple of things. One, obviously cost savings. Headcount, cutting 22% of your headcount is massive cost savings, right? So that's, I think, hint, sneeze at how much that is. What I'd say, this is completely anecdotal evidence, is I'm getting more game ads than ever, and they've got me pegged, right? So I'm seeing 5 game ads a day on Facebook, Instagram. So I didn't dig into the details about, specifically what the subcomponents of their advertising mix. I'm not sure how candid they are with that on the earnings call. But I mean, number go down in terms of cutting headcount. One of the big initiatives he ran last year was basically saying, we're going to flatten the organization, cut middle management. You basically have to be an individual contributor or an executive. And even if you're a manager, you're expected to deliver code if you're in a technical role. And so that's, I think, a big piece of it is like decrease headcount, increase efficiency per employee, and then just raw number. I mean, they're doing the cheat thing, which is we just push more ads into the product. And as long as people consume the product, 22% growth, 21% growth. But yeah.
Did we have a metric on their user base?
Yeah.
And the change of that?
It's an all-time high at 4 billion MAU, which is one in every two people across the family of apps, right? It's basically just, half of people in the world to use a Facebook product, which is
right.
Crazy.
So I guess that's the real driving factor here at the end of the day from a revenue standpoint is just them still continuing to increase their share of voice.
Share of users, and then also just increase ads per user. Just to sort of frame how big of a run-up this is, if you recall, during the depths of last year when everyone was worried about tech stocks, they were $90 a share. Last time I checked, which was not this morning, but recently was $450 a share. I mean, that's the most insane appreciation we've seen, I can remember in such a small time frame, although I'm not an analyst.
Yeah, I can painfully remember and visualize the day when it was $90 a share. And I remember telling myself, this is probably the time where you should be investing in this. And I feel like you did, and I didn't at that time, Xander.
I was trying to buy a house then, so I didn't invest in anything, and I should have. Anyway.
Yeah, but Zuck is definitely showing that when push comes to shove, he can be a ruthlessly efficient operator.
I mean, he's going to go down in history. I kind of have always scoffed at him, but talk about someone who just has been winning over and over again. He's a monster.
Yeah, I think honestly, he's been doing a lot to rehabilitate his public image, almost not even intentionally. I feel like there was a period where he was trying to outwardly improve his public image and just failing miserably. And lately, I feel like he's just been being a badass in multiple ways, ever since he got more hardcore about jujitsu and more efficient as an operator. But I feel like he's starting to win over public sentiment more and more, both within the markets, but also just among average people.
I think he's also doing the inverse Elon Musk, which is if you don't have anything to say, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Don't say anything. And then Elon's out there just be like, look at me. So I think that's also helping him. The big bad guy of tech is rotated. Anyway, not to talk about Musk any more than we need to.
The inverse Musk.
Okay, well, talking about changing strategy,